In the days before central heating, staying warm at night wasn't a convenience, it was a survival skill. Families relied on simple, low-cost methods that maximized the warmth of the body and the efficiency of materials they already had at hand. These were practical solutions, honed through experience and necessity, that modern preppers and history enthusiasts can still apply today. If you're serious about understanding historical living techniques and translating them into modern practical use, the techniques I'm sharing will give you a clear, actionable edge. Use layers to trap heat effectively. One of the most consistent methods used in pre-1950 homes was layering. Beds were not a single mattress and blanket setup. Families used multiple layers of quilts, comforters, and even homemade feather beds. The principle was simple. Each layer trapped air, creating insulation. A well-stuffed wool or feather quilt placed over a thin blanket dramatically improved warmth without extra cost. You can replicate this today with a combination of wool blankets, cotton sheets, and even old duvets folded to increase insulation. In winter, adding a top layer of a heavier quilt while sleeping under a lighter one allowed for flexibility in regulating body heat during the night. Elevate your sleeping surface when possible. Sleeping directly on the floor was the coldest option. Historical sources and diaries from the early 20th century often mention using bed frames, boxes, or pallets to lift the mattress off cold floors. Even a simple wooden pallet or a stack of boards beneath a bed provided an insulating buffer against cold drafts. For modern use, raising the bed slightly, even on inexpensive risers, reduces the conduction of cold from the floor and makes a significant difference in maintaining warmth throughout the night. Use bed curtains or canopies to concentrate body heat. Before widespread insulation, bed curtains weren't just decorative, they were functional. They created a microclimate, trapping the warmth generated by the body. Homes in the 1800s and early 1900s commonly featured four-poster beds with heavy fabric drapes. For practical application today, even a simple sheet or curtain suspended around the bed can serve the same purpose. This method is particularly useful in drafty rooms or older homes where wall insulation is minimal. Concentrating the body's warmth in a small enclosed space reduces the energy lost to the surrounding air. Stuff your bed with natural materials for insulation. Historical records frequently note the use of straw, hay, or feathers as natural insulators. Folks would layer straw mattresses or tuck straw into the base of the bed to increase thermal retention. Now, straw compresses over time, so it's important to replace it seasonally. Feathers were another common choice, especially for those who could afford them, due to their light weight and high insulating properties. These days, preppers can replicate this by using modern natural alternatives like wool or down toppers, or even reusing straw or hay in a thick mattress pad under a sleeping surface. The goal remains the same: create layers of material that trap air and prevent heat loss. Warm the bed before sleeping. A time-tested method, often overlooked today, was pre-warming the bed. Families would use hot water bottles, warmed stones, or even heated bricks wrapped in cloth to make the sleeping surface warm before climbing in. The key was placing these heat sources safely to avoid burns, while maintaining prolonged warmth. A modern adaptation includes hot water bottles, electric heating pads, or microwavable heat packs placed under covers for 15 to 20 minutes prior to bedtime. This simple step honestly drastically reduces the initial cold shock when entering a bed in a poorly heated room. Wear layered clothing designed for sleep. Woolen nightgowns, long underwear, and socks were standard. The combination of layered garments with insulating bedding made a significant difference. The lesson here is that warmth isn't solely about what you cover yourself with, it's also about what you wear. For contemporary preppers, using thermal underwear or thick cotton pajamas in conjunction with layered blankets can mimic the historical efficiency of these practices, keeping the body at a stable temperature through the night. All right, so let's talk about insulating around the bed and doing it strategically. You know, in historical homes, there were often these large gaps around the floors, windows, and walls. Folks back then compensated by using blankets or rugs to block drafts and keep heat right where it was needed, around the bed. For instance, putting a thick rug on the floor beside the bed really helped cut down on heat loss and, well, it made for a much warmer spot to put your feet in the morning. Drafts sneaking in under the doors, those could be blocked by rolling up a blanket and jamming it against the gap. Even the simple act of tucking sheets or blankets tightly around the mattress worked as a sort of primitive insulation barrier. And honestly, these small steps are still pretty effective today, especially in older homes where drafts just seem to be part of the deal. Now let's move on to how you position the bed in the room, because that's more important than most folks realize. The placement of the bed was one of those overlooked but really critical factors. Beds weren't usually set against exterior walls if you could help it, since those cold walls would just suck the heat right out from around your body. But when it couldn't be avoided, people would pile on extra blankets or even set up a temporary insulated headboard. If your sleeping space has to be against an outside wall, adding a heavy blanket or quilt between the wall and the headboard can give you some much-needed insulation. So just by understanding how heat loss by conduction works and putting your bed in the right spot, you can actually put a lot of historical know-how to good use in your own home today. So, folks used to create personal microclimates with shared warmth. Families would often share beds, and it wasn't just for convenience, it was really about staying warm. The combined body heat of several people under layered blankets was a practical way to cut down on energy use and keep everybody comfortable through those cold nights. While this isn't always something you can do nowadays, the idea of maximizing a small, insulated space to keep heat in is still solid. Even if you're living alone, you can concentrate warmth in your sleeping area by using curtains, layers, and snug bedding to get that same microclimate effect. Now, let's talk about how you can apply these techniques in a modern survival or prepper situation. These bed hacks aren't just old-fashioned relics. They're actually really practical for anybody living off-grid or prepping for emergencies. Layering blankets and clothes, raising your bed off the floor, pre-warming where you sleep, and insulating the space around you are all low-cost tricks that don't need electricity or central heat. A prepper can take these old methods and mix in some modern gear like wool blankets, hot water bottles, and insulated bed pads to get through tough winters without much fuss. For instance, just putting a sleeping bag inside a wool blanket, elevating your bed a bit, and laying a rug underneath can give you just about the same comfort and efficiency as folks had before the 1950s, all without fancy heating. These practices are honestly easy to use, don't cost much, and have stood the test of time. They let you take charge of your own comfort and survival, even if you can't rely on modern conveniences. Learning these methods not only gives historians, preppers, and survival fans a real set of practical skills, but it also helps us appreciate just how clever folks were back in the day. If you found this guide helpful, go ahead and subscribe to Warfield Prepper Chronicles and share it with other history buffs and folks interested in survival. Using these historical bed hacks doesn't just keep you warm, it really connects you to the resourcefulness of those who came before us.